Welcome back to the Kool, the Kareem Matthews podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Matthews, and I want to thank everyone that reached out about the first couple of episodes, man. Commented, liked, shared. That's really cool. I appreciate that from you guys. I'm really excited for my guest this week, man. This guy is international. You know what I'm saying? Worldwide producer, comic, actor, philanthropist, and I like to say a good friend of mine, Mr. Ahmed-Ahmed.
Cheers, man. Thank you for the nice intro. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Oh man, thanks for doing it. No, it comes from the heart. You know what I'm saying? That's a genuine intro. Like that's why I wanted to have you on as one of my first guests, because you're one of the dudes I've known the longest in this game, you know? And it was
Appreciate you.
It was crazy because I wasn't really doing research, but I was just, looking back and trying to figure out, make sure I didn't miss anything. We've known each other since the 90s.
Yeah, that's true. Since around Dublins-ish, 1980, like 99-ish or something like that.
Yes.
Maybe even before that, in fact.
That was going to be my exact starting point, was Dublins. I feel like that's where I met you, because I think you knew Darren, and then Darren met Jay through you, and then I remember I met Jay, like Jay was saying you guys were going to be starting up this room, because Jay worked at some bar at a hotel, and we went there. And then I met you guys. I mean, man, that was a moment in comedy time right there.
It seems like, oh shit, sorry. You there? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was like a time capsule of comedy innocence, if you will. We were all innocent back then, and now we're jaded.
I love that comedy innocence. That's so true. That was literally the early days of so many people's careers, not only comics, but just in the industry in general. You know what I mean? Like, I look back at those days, like, I don't know if that could ever be captured like that again. We didn't have social media back then.
Yeah, we had MySpace.
Oh,
remember that?
Wasn't Jay cool with Tom?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Tom, who the creator of MySpace.
Your first friend.
Yeah, going just to go back to piggyback on what you were saying. Dublin's that era of comedy, as you mentioned, a lot of people's careers, not only as comics but producers and agents, even, and actors in that era were just coming up. Musicians, Vince Vaughn as an actor, he'd come in every week, and Tom Morello, who's the guitar player for Rage Against the Machine, he was in there every week. It was a good Tuesday night of just innocent, fun comedy. Dane Cook just showed up from Boston. Nobody knew who the fuck Dane Cook was. And, he became, and to this day, he'll credit that room as the room that, made him who he is as a comic. He's performing 45 minutes a night in front of celebrities, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Bill Maher, Dave Navarro, like crazy, like Paris Hilton. Like, we just had celebrities in there every week. And then we had hot, like, chicks that were in there, wannabe models and actresses. And then we had like librarians and doctors and lawyers and housewives. And it was a real mixed, eclectic bag of society that had created this culture that everybody was just kind of used to and in on. And it was a comfort zone for people to kind of just let their hair down on a weeknight. And then, the list goes on and on. Zach Galifianakis, Ken Jeong, Leslie Jones, Alonzo Bowden, Darren Carter, Sebastian Maniscalco, Brett Ernst, Sam Tripoli, Dave Chappelle, came in there a couple times. Roseanne Barr,
Faison
Love, Daryl Hammond, Joe Rogan, Carlos Mencia, Andrew Dice Clay, Eddie Griffin. The list goes on and on. From uber famous to unknown, and then everything in between. So, yeah, man, those were the innocent times for me, at least.
I swear you covered it right there beautifully. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just let you go, because like everything you said, I wanted to hop in on. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's your podcast.
No, but I wanted. you were the creator, or you were one of the creators. So it's just funny to hear it come from your mouth, is because that's exactly the stuff that I was saying. Like, and I think that's so perfect that you said the innocence of comedy, because for me it was the same thing. You know what I mean? Like for a long time in my career after that, well into the 2000s, like most of what I had going on in my career stemmed from Dublins.
Okay.
I met my manager there.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I met Sharon Martin. Sharon Martin, you know what I mean?
Oh, right. Are you still with her?
Not anymore, but I'm saying, well, sure. We actually still work together, but she's not my manager. But no, I'm saying from Dublins into the early 2000s, when we were working together, like literally everything had come from Dublins. Like that was really my first time doing comedy, like being exposed to like the industry.
Yeah, I don't know how it caught fire like that. I think at the time, if I remember correctly, the Comedy Store was a ghost town. Nobody was going to the Comedy Store, and the Laugh Factory was kind of teetering on the same hinges of not going out of business, but just not getting a lot of business.
Right.
They had a couple theme shows like Comedy Juice and things like that. But after comics would do their sets at the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory, they'd come to Dublin.
Right.
And so it became this like cool, hip, sexy place. It was also a bit rough because we didn't have a cover charge and it was first come, first serve. So it was a bit of a circus. And when you went up on stage, you were the lion tamer. You had your whip and your chair. And if you can get the audience and kill in that room, you either got
a lot.
Well, not only that, but you either got an agent or a manager out of it, or you got laid.
Oh,
every comic.
That angle too, the get laid angle. Oh my goodness. Dublins was also legendary for that. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it was a Tuesday night. So the people that were out there partying that night, you know what I mean? That's not a weekend.
Like, yeah. No, we had
real partiers.
Real partiers, and it was Hollywood, basically. And like the great thing back in those innocent times of Hollywood was, Friday and Saturday nights was left for the, bridge and tunnel people.
Right.
People from the outskirts of LA who would drive in and cruise the Sunset Strip and all that. But if you lived in Hollywood and had any sort of sense of cool about you, you never went out on Fridays and Saturdays.
Right.
You went out Monday through Thursday.
Right.
And that's where you catch all the celebrities and get a chance to party with famous people just randomly, like Shaquille O'Neal might be sitting next to you, and Kim Kardashian's on the other side of you, and you're just like, it was a bit of a world. Yeah.
Right. No, Jerry Buss used to hang out a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Buss, he used to just stay downstairs, but after the show, it would blend into one big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Remember DJ Crash would start playing music. He always spun music in between the comics, but after the show was done, we'd clear the tables and he'd start spinning hip hop and R&B, and people would dance, the night away and get bottle service, and it was fun, man. It was funny.
I'm so glad you brought up Crash, because to this day, I remember Dublins was so hot in that one Jay-Z song. He was like, from Peanuts in LA to Bubbling at Dublin. And Crash would spin that in the mix at the club,
Man, it was wild. It was wild. And we were talking about, getting laid in that room. I remember comics would call me like sometimes in the middle of the night. Hey man, I haven't been laid in 3 months. I know you're booked, this Tuesday, but can I get 5 minutes? I said, why? They said, I haven't been laid, and if I go up and I kill, then I'll get laid, which was true. I remember there's some ugly motherfuckers that was performing there, and they would go up and they would just tickle these women's panties right off of them.
A hot chick though.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like I'm talking like supermodels would go up to like Bobby Lee and shit and be like, oh, I want to fuck you. And I'd be like, Bobby Lee?
Yo, it was crazy for that. But I mean, it was crazy for everything. Like for people getting on, you're right. You would get represented, or someone would be looking for you. It was crazy for the amounts of comics that came out of there that blew up. It was just, Man, I don't know if we can recapture, if anything could recapture that time in these days. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think it had its own little time capsule, but to Jake Davis's credit, he was my partner in crime. A lot of people credit him saying it was his room, and I know a lot of times he'll credit himself, but he came to me and said, "Hey, I want to start a comedy night. I have no idea about the comedy world, but I know you're a comic and I know you're connected to comics. I have a lot of people I can promote to. Let's start a comedy show." And I said, "Nah, man, you're going to have comics calling you every day, all day, crawling up your ass. You don't want to be that guy, the booking of the shows." And he's like, "No, no, no, come on, let's do it." And he just talked me into it, basically. He got that Jay Davis excitement. Come on, you'll be great.
Right.
We'll make it to the next thing. So I was like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I had nothing going on in my career at the time. So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And we went to a few places and we couldn't, get a deal together. And then we found Dublins, and, the rest is history, man. It was a weekly thing. It ran for 4 years straight, every Tuesday night, rain or shine, packed 300 people every week, standing room only. And
celebrities, wall to wall.
Wall to wall.
It's crazy because I was going to ask you, how did you guys decide to start Dublins? But that you just answered. I mean, you're on it right now. But because that's the thing, that was the other part about it. I don't know if this is. I'm gonna say for me, I believe that was the first time I had ever, or it had ever been like individually produced shows away from the comedy clubs. Like I don't remember. I mean, I know you say Comedy Juice, but that was at the Laugh Factory. Like, I feel like there wasn't an individual alone room like this at that. I mean, now now it's a thing that everyone tries to do. You know what I mean? But at that time, I don't remember. And I think for me, that was the other real cool part about it was you didn't have to try to get affiliated with the club. Like, this was its own thing.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
we were a standalone entity, and as you mentioned, no one was producing alternative comedy shows in standalone, bars and restaurants or establishments. We were the first. We were the best.
Man.
We had the best comics come at us. We also pissed off the comedy clubs. Laugh Factory. Laugh Factory.
Wait, let me just hop in. It made them step their game up, though.
They had to.
You know what I'm saying? Because then shortly after that is when the store blew up with a lot of the guys that were coming from Dublins. You know what I mean?
So that's I'll take credit for that one as well, because Pauly Shore had come in to Dublins one night and performed, and he crushed it. He had like 5 playmates with him, and he was like, "Hey, buddy." He was like, "Hey, bro, hey, buddy. Cool room." He's like, you guys should come to my mom's club, the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore, and do a show there." So we bought a show there called Rock Comedy, if you remember that. And we took the best of the best from Dublins, and that's how we all got passed at the Comedy Store, really. But yeah, we kind of sucked all the energy. We sucked all the energy out of the comedy clubs, and we were only one night a week. We weren't like a club, running 5, 6, 7 nights a week. We were one night a week, but that's all we needed.
Right.
And people were looking forward to that Tuesday night. My phone would ring off the hook all week. "Can I get a table for 6? I need a booth for so-and-so. Britney Spears has come in. I need this," and then so just, is Dane Cook going to be there? And then, and that kind of it opened up a whole like Pandora's box, but it also was an olive branch, an extension to, to the comedy world, that you don't have to be passed at the clubs to perform. You can create your own, you can make your own party. You don't have to get invited to the party. You just get your own house and make your own party. And I've always
cool ass party.
Oh, it was every week, man. It was like, people were getting, like I said, repped out of there with agents and managers, meeting their boyfriends and girlfriends, making friends. It was a real cool culture back then. I actually miss it.
Me too, man. You've mentioned Britney Spears a couple times, so I just gotta bring up. Do you remember the time when she came with that miniature monkey?
I do actually remember that. I forgot, but thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
Yo, that kind of shit went down. You know what I'm saying? Like, she literally had a fucking little pet monkey on her shoulder, yo. I was
Yeah,
like,
those little spider monkeys or whatever.
yeah, I was like, yeah, this shit is wild. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
also mentioned rock comedy. Did Vince Vaughn get involved in that?
No, but Vince Vaughn, who's a good friend of mine, he's always championed my career. He's always kind of, supported me and followed what I was doing. And he would just show up to the Dublins room every Tuesday. The great thing about doing comedy in Hollywood on a Tuesday is that most people are in town. No one's on the road. No one's actors aren't working. I mean, it's like, for some reason, musicians happen to be off on Tuesdays. For some reason, Tuesday night was like the cool night for stand-up comedy in Hollywood. But Vince would come every week, and rock comedy was an extension of Dublin, so he did not have anything to do with that. But that's what eventually got me and Brett Ernst and Sam Tripoli and a couple other comics passed at the Comedy Store, because Mitzi Shore had seen me in that show. But Vince Vaughn was responsible for the Wild West comedy tour.
Okay, that's okay, because I knew you guys had done some tour together, and so it was the Wild West, right? Okay, so Vince, how did that come about?
So Vince was at the club every week. He was filming The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston in Chicago, and he decided to do a charity benefit for wives who had troops that died in the Iraqi war. So he called me up and he was like, yo, can you, get a couple comics out here to do this show? We'll fly him out. We'll pay him, a few bucks. I don't even remember what we got paid. And we'll go out for a steak dinner. So I wrangled, at the time, it was Brett Ernst, Sebastian Maniscalco, and John Caparulo, and myself.
That's who you got?
So they flew way before anybody knew who they were. So they flew out. We did a show at the Park West Theater in front of like 1,000 plus. And then after the show, we all went out for a steak dinner. And Vince was like, I'm going to be wrapping my movie in a week. And he had just bought a tour bus. He bought this beautiful, like, $1 million tour bus. He said, I'd like to take this show and go on the road. And I want to do something that no one's ever done. Let's go from Hollywood into the Heartland. That's what it was called. Vince Vaughn's Wild West comedy tour from Hollywood to the Heartland, 30 cities, 30 nights. We did 30 cities and 30 nights back to back.
On the bus.
On a bus, 6,000 miles. We did 30 sold out shows, thousands. This was, by the way, he was a full blown movie star. He still is, but he was like, that's when Wedding Crashers had just come out. So he was like global sensation movie star. And we were just like, we were the entourage. He came up, he'd go up for 5 minutes, say, hi, I'm Vince Vaughn. This is my Wild West comedy show. I brought some of the best comics and my friends from LA, and hope you guys have a good time. And he would introduce me first. I would always go up first and open the show. And then typically it would go Sebastian, Brett, and then Caparulo would normally close the shows. And then we had special guests, and we had like musical acts, and they made it into a documentary. I think it's on HBO right now. Vince Vaughn's Wild West comedy show on HBO.
And you guys did Vegas too, right?
We did a couple shows in Vegas, like follow-up shows. Vegas was part of the tour, but we went back and did some follow-up shows. So Vince was always like supportive of that. It's funny because in the beginning, he asked me like who I should, recommend for this tour. And I sent him like 20 names, not just those 3. I think I'm sure I threw your name in the hat. But for some reason, Darren Carter, Alonzo,
probably
time,
Dane,
Steve Byrne, Dane Cook, yeah. For some reason, he wanted Sebastian, Brett, and Cap, and that's just how it worked out. And so, yeah, and then you see people's careers now. John Caparulo, I don't know what he's doing much, but I know he's got a residency in Vegas. super funny, talented guy. Maybe, you know, his what do you call it? Personality may have like hindered him a little bit to maybe go ahead more as a comic. But you know, he works and he's a hardworking guy, and you know, I give him that. You know, Brett Ernst, he's, you know, we all know Brett. He's
Cobra Kai.
He's on Cobra Kai right now, which is a hot show on Netflix, and he's just one of those guys who's a self-made, you know, producer, comic, always hustling, always on the road, always, you know. And then Sebastian, you know, he was the guy out of all of us that got the Golden Star. You know, he got a star in his box. You know, it's funny. When I lived in Asia for 2 years.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, in Malaysia, so, right?
I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia for 2 years, but I traveled all over Asia performing stand-up comedy. But I remember going to a Chinese astrologist, and she asked me when my birthday was, and I said June 27th, 1970. And she says, "Oh, you're the year of the dog." And I said, "What?" I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "Bad luck." I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Well, no, but this year you have to clean up your bad luck." I said, "Oh, what sign are you?" She said, "I'm the year of the pig." I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "Good luck." I was like, "Not if you're bacon." So then she went on. She went on to tell me how everybody has a box in their birthday date, the time and day you're born. Everyone has a box. And some people have a star in their box. You're born with a star in your box. And some people have no star. Your box has no star.
But Sebastian had a star.
She goes, but you can create your own star. So
I like that.
You look at people like Sebastian, you know, did he have a star in his box? No, he didn't. But did he create his own star? 100%. Tiffany Haddish. She told me straight up. She's like, "Motherfucker, I didn't get no star in my box." You know, Tiffany Haddish, she was homeless, living out of her car, you know, and she created her own star. So the cool thing about our industry is you can create your own star. You don't have to, you know, not everybody's going to be Brad Pitt or, you know, Dave Chappelle most likely had a star in his box. You know, did he grow up rich and famous? No, but he definitely had something that no other comic on this planet has right now. He's got that je ne sais quoi, cool jazz singer, you know, just going for the quick laugh. You know, Chappelle's next level shit. That's like some unicorn, like alien Illuminati. Who knows? I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but he's doing it.
No, I was just saying the same thing to some people the other day, man. He is right now. He's that next level dude. You know what I mean? Like he has the art form down. Like you can watch him and still study. You know, as you get along in comedy, sometimes it's hard to find people you can actually study. But he still is one of those. You know.
Sure. Yeah. Forget about his material. Just his cadence. You know, the inflections he uses in his words and his beats and pauses and facial expressions and just little tiny innuendos. You know, you wouldn't really catch unless you're really paying attention.
Right. The subtleties of comedy.
The subtleties, exactly, for sure.
Right. Absolutely. So, like after Dublins, I think the next, well, I don't know, but I remember the Axis of Evil. Was that like the next big thing for you, or?
Yeah, so after Dublins, I got passed at the Comedy Store. Mitzi Shore put me, Maz Jobrani, and this comic named Aaron Cater together. And she started a theme show. She was really big on ethnic voices. Remember Richard Pryor, Paul Rodriguez, Whoopi Goldberg, Sandra Bernhardt, gay, lesbian, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian. But at the time, there weren't any Middle Eastern comics. So she had put us together, and she started a show called the Arabian Nights, which we later changed to the Axis of Evil because Maz Jobrani's not Arab; he's Persian, and they had their own empire.
Right.
And don't ever call us Arabs. That's no. We are Persian. I'm like, you're around evil. So we, you know, started that show. We started getting a little well known in the US. We eventually got a what do you call it? Comedy Central presents special. We were the first ever Middle Eastern comedy show on national television. So we broke ground and made history that way. And then we went to the Middle East and sold out, 20,000 seats, 5 countries. And then we became like a big deal in the Middle East. And then we broke up as a group. And then I started bringing American comics over there, like American, like Whitney Cummings and, Angelo Sarukis and Sebastian came with us, and the list goes on and on. And then I made a documentary called Just Like Us, which is on YouTube right now. If you go to Cross Cultural Productions on YouTube, the movie's called Just Like Us. And it was basically like a, what do you call it? It was it was kind of spawned off from Axis of Evil. So I had taken the heat that we had from Axis of Evil and just did an all-American comedy show, and it worked. And and it's called Just Like Us because I wanted to show that Arabs and Muslims, despite our cultural differences and religion, laugh alike. They laugh just like us, hence the title. So yeah.
No,
and then yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go.
Oh, that was it. And then that gave me a little bit of like street cred, in Hollywood, because I directed it, I narrated it, I produced it, I was in it. That eventually got me on a TV show called Sullivan and Son with Steve Byrne that Vince Vaughn coincidentally produced with Peter Billingsley, a stereotype character, which was nice. And yeah, I mean, since before, during, and after that, I was taking small parts in movies, Iron Man, Executive Decision, mostly terrorist roles and shit like that.
Hey, you gotta work, man.
I gotta work, bro.
So you said you were in Malaysia. Were you were you helping them with their comedy scene?
Yeah, I went over there to kind of like help nurture the comedy scene a little bit over there, which was really thriving, actually. Like, they have a pretty relevant and thriving comedy scene, but it's a Muslim country, so there are still some restrictions with like language and that kind of thing. And there's quite a comedy scene booming in Asia, but I felt like it needed a little bit more time to kind of fertilize and grow. So that's when I left and I came back to the US. And then the pandemic happened, like almost 2 months after that. And then I just kind of got stuck in LA trying to figure out what to do. Everybody got clobbered, especially our industry. Clubs were shut down. No stand-up comedy was relevant anywhere. And then I don't like to sit around and wait for things to open up or things to happen. So my wheels started spinning and I started this new show that you performed at a couple times in Venice Beach called The Comedy Compound. And so that's been going strong every weekend.
Great venue, I must add.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a first class venue. It's funny because in my mind it has a Dublins vibe to it.
A little bit, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We don't sell liquor or food, but bring your own food and liquor. But it definitely has that like sexy coolness about it.
The pool in the middle.
It's in Venice Beach. There's no comedy going on in Venice Beach right now, and it definitely has that speakeasy kind of feel to it. You walk in, you don't really know where until you get to the actual pool. You're like, yeah, you feel like you're in a secret kind of society.
Right. No, I love that venue. I mean, you're getting big names at that too. You just had Tiffany Haddish at that.
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish, Jeff Ross, Jeremy Piven, Michael Rappaport, Bill Burr's done it 5 times. Eliza Schlesinger,
Craig Shoemaker.
We got Brian Callen coming this Saturday. So yeah, it's interesting because I'm that room has gotten me work because I'm a comic, but I also produce. I like producing. And I've also taken on this kind of talent booker, buyer role. which I don't mind, but I also, you know, it's not a great position to be in all the time because you're the gatekeeper. And so some comics, you know, I'm just trying to book either people that are funny and bring it, or celebrities. That's it. I'm not trying to do any favors. We're not doing open mics. You know, I don't deal with managers. I just literally was emailing back and forth this morning before we got on the phone with a manager to a pretty well-known comic. And there's this gig that I'm booking down in Huntington Beach, which I'd love to have you on at some point.
Absolutely.
But for the headlining acts, they want big names. So I said, let me see who I can wrangle. So I've been wrangling these, like, you know, pretty big names, some of them I just mentioned. And then this one comic who I won't mention, his manager was like trying to tell me how to produce and book the show. And in the past, you know, I'd be kind of polite, but now I don't have time for that. There are only so many minutes in a day, and this is non-negotiable. So if your client wants $3,000 for one night in Huntington Beach, here it is. If not, I got a whole Rolodex of motherfuckers I want to perform here. So
right.
And, you know, but they don't even say thanks for the offer. We appreciate working with you. None of that stuff. That's why I don't like dealing with agents and managers. So I emailed him back and I just said, this is the offer. I literally said, take it or leave it. And the door's open if they want to reconsider. But I kind of basically said, don't tell me how to do my job.
Right.
And so that will give me a bit of a reputation, because people will say, oh, who does this guy think he is? And look, I'll tell you who I think I am. I'm booking a show and putting fucking free money in your clients' pockets. That's what I'm doing.
During the pandemic.
During a pandemic on a Friday in fucking Southern California, you ain't gonna get $3,000 in LA anywhere.
Right. No.
For one nighter. And if you can, be my guest.
Take it. No. And that's why I was, man, you covering everything I wanted to ask you about, but that's why I was going to say, that's one thing that I really always appreciated about you, was how you shoot straight. You know what I mean? Like, and basically, like you said, take it or leave it. Like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's no gray area. You're on this side or this side.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because there's nothing personal. It's just business.
Right.
And, you know, we live, unfortunately, our industry, our comedy industry, is a thankless industry. Very few comics are thankful and gracious about getting a gig, whether it's $50 or $5,000. A bit of etiquette, and that goes a long way. All you got to say is please, thank you, and excuse me. How hard is that? You know, I don't ask people to kiss the ring. I'm not trying to. By the way, all the work that I'm doing, booking these comics, if I told you how much I was making, you would laugh. So I'm not doing it for the money.
Right.
I'm just doing it to just keep afloat right now until I get a star in my box.
But see, that's the thing. You're creating a star. Like, this process is creating the star. You know what I mean? That's what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about that. I was like, man, you kind of fall in that category too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you that's another thing I always like about you. You always putting something together. You know what I mean? Like, that's creating a star. So, you know,
producing, as you know, producing something, that's a whole separate talent on its own. People don't realize, like, you could be funny, you could be a good actor, you could be a good musician, but a producer has an eye for the bigger picture. Right? Crystallizing artists together. There's a reason why, and I'm not comparing myself at all, but there's a reason why Quincy Jones is Quincy Jones. There's a reason why, you know, and he's a musician, but, you know, he went in more into producing and stuff because that's an art form and it's on its own, you know.
Right.
P. Diddy, whoever, Don King, you know, whoever, these people that they can say, okay, I want to get this artist, you know, together with this artist, and we're going to make magic. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I think people don't realize that that's kind of its own art form on its own. And the bad news with that is, unfortunately, you know, you make enemies and people don't like you. And like you said, and I've become more so since, because I just turned 50.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.